Okay, so it's no secret that I am in love with Alice in Wonderland, so I got this Alice bento set. It comes in pink or blue, and I like the blue color scheme better, but funny story. I couldn't find an actual bento box that was blue, just the accessories. The only box was pink. So I got the cute little chopstick fork spoon set that matched the bag, but as for the bento box itself, I scoured the internet, and while I couldn't find a perfect match, I thought that this white rabbit bento box matched pretty well. I even got a blue strap because the one this box came with was red. So this is my tiny little one-person mixer that's pretty much junk unless you're blending up things that are already semi-liquid or powder. Luckily that's what I'm doing because I want to try and make vegan tamagoyaki. Tamagoyaki is basically a scrambled egg sheet or a scrambled egg omelet that you roll up, and they're usually used in bento. I can't find a recipe for a vegan version online, so I figured I would just give it a go and see what happens. Here I have a package of silken tofu that I cut up and put into the blender. You can use firmer tofu if you want, but since I was scrambling it up, I chose silken. It sort of has a creamy consistency, and to it I'm adding 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, mostly for color but a little for flavor. Teaspoon of ginger for flavor, and blend. After that, a half a teaspoon of mustard powder, and then salt and pepper, and blend more. This is a special set I got to make the tamagoyaki. It's a silicone mold to make sure it comes out perfectly even and rectangular, and a spatula that fits in it perfectly. It was way cheaper than buying a tamagoyaki pan for this little experiment. Also, say hello to Panda, a little coconut oil, but you can use whatever kind you like, and then I poured the mixture in. Now this first attempt was a failure, and the problem was that it wasn't binding together and holding its shape like eggs do, it kind of just fell apart. I thought I remembered reading somewhere online that cornstarch gives the same sort of elastic properties to batters and mixtures as eggs. And I was too lazy to actually look it up for real, so I just dumped in 1/4 cup of cornstarch and blended. Hey, this is an experiment, so you have to take risks. I also poured in a very thin layer at first, and then sort of filled in anywhere it looked sparse. Thankfully, it worked out really well. It started to split a little when I rolled it the first time, so I pressed on it with the spatula to force it to hold its shape while the heat from the pan set it a bit. Then rolled it and held it in place a few more times until voila! Vegan tamagoyaki. I also wanted to make a sheet of it to see if it would make flowers like I did in my Choco Cat bento tutorial. So we'll see how it goes later. On to the Cheshire Cat. For this I used Tofurky bratwurst, but you can use whatever kind you prefer. I just opened it and took a piece out because mine was frozen and set it on a plate to thaw a little. While it was thawing, let me show you the cute Hello Kitty microwave rice steamer I got. Cooks a small amount of rice in minutes instead of half an hour, which just seems super convenient, so I'm trying it out for the first time here. Open the clip lock lid, and it has a little vent lid to let the steam out, and a little platform in case you want to steam vegetables or dumplings or something, I guess. I'm making 1/3 cup of rice with 2/3 cup of water, and this ends up being just about exactly enough to fill the top section of my bento box and still leave room for Alice's decorations. According to the directions, for half a cup of rice, you cook it for 7 minutes in a 500-watt microwave. Since I did a third of a cup, but I have a 750-watt microwave, I did it for 5 minutes instead, and it turned out just fine. While that cooks, it's on to the rabbit apple. Here I have a Fuji apple and cold water, to which I'm adding salt to keep the apple from oxidizing. Give it a quick mix, and now we cut the apple. Cut it in half, and then cut a wedge that's about a third of the half you have left, and that will be the bunny. Take out the core of the bunny piece and pick the side that looks most like a bunny face. Then score a V shape that goes all the way to the edges and meets in the middle, probably 2 inches or so away from your bunny face. Then peel the apple from the back to where the V meets. The ears should stay attached, don't peel too far forward, but remove the apple peel from the back. Soak the rabbit in salt water and keep the peel that you took off for later. Now to see if the tamagoyaki flour works. Fold the sheet of tamagoyaki in half lengthwise and make slits along the fold. Roll it up, and by Jove, you've got a flour. For the tamagoyaki hearts, which I ended up using in this tutorial instead of the flour, slice the roll into even parts. Then take each slice and slice it diagonally across the middle. Then just turn one of the halves upside down. Oh, and don't forget to trim off the ends if they aren't even and neat. And you have a heart. I had enough to make 4 of the queen's hearts, but I only had enough room in my bento box to fit 3. Next, I took a leftover ear of corn for the White Rabbit's pocket watch, sliced the end off, and then sliced another section so I had a nice flat section to work with. For the clock hands and face, I'm using nori along with this punch that I first showed in my Choco Cat bento video and this second one. However, you don't need punches, and you can just as easily cut them out with scissors. Just as we've discussed before, I am terrible at cutting out even circles, and you need quite a few for this watch. You can use vegan mayo or ketchup or mustard to stick these down, but I actually found the salt water I was soaking the apple in worked fine. To make sure everything was evenly spaced, I put down the dots at the 4 quarter marks and then put 2 dots between each of those to get 12. For the Cheshire Cat, I cooked the vegan bratwurst according to the package, and then I cut half of it in half widthwise and squared off the ends of both so I had 2 identical gray rectangles. This is to stack so that the cat's face has some more height to it. Make 2 diagonal cuts and a line connecting them at one of the longer sides of one of the rectangles to give the cat his ears. For his trademark grin, I used vegan mozzarella cheese, and then I did all the details in nori. His eyes, his stripes, and the teeth lines in his grin were all just little scissors, nori punches, salt water, food tweezers, and patience. A lot of patience. Now to assemble the bottom of the container. The rabbit and his pocket watch, the queen's hearts, and by the way, if your rabbit doesn't sit flat or doesn't fit, just trim him to size and slice the bottom level. And then of course Cheshire Cat, which is stacked on top of the other rectangle of bratwurst. Finally, we get to work on Alice. I opened my container and was pleasantly surprised to find that my rice was cooked pretty much perfectly. And after I gave it a fluff, I added some ketchup to make it a flesh color for Alice's face. Mozzarella cheese again for her apron, which I cut to shape. For this, I was actually looking at the bento set for reference. I used nori for her dress, the parts that would be peeking out from under the apron, as well as the waistband. I just used scissors to cut the nori to size. Then for her blonde hair, vegan cheddar cheese. However, a word to the wise. While the mozzarella cheese that I use molds very nicely and I like to work with it, this cheddar cheese is a total pain. If you know of a better sliced vegan orange cheese that actually melts, please let me know. You would totally be my hero. Anyway, after fighting with that cheese for a while, I moved on to her cheeks. Now, I didn't save my peel, so I'm peeling more of the apple from earlier, and I'm just using this oval cutter to make little red cheeks. You could definitely use scissors, though, just as easily. Then, some eyes and a cute little open mouth, and she's just about done. She just needs the trademark Alice bow. I cut the nori sheet so it looked like the bottom of the bow and trimmed it to fit the shape of my bento box on top. And then I just used white cheese to layer on top of it. Last, a few strips of nori for a little extra texture in her hair, and this bento is done. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more bento tutorials. I'm in the process of moving, so it might be a while before there's another video, but I promise there will be one as soon as I can. And as always, if you have any requests for specific Chiara Ben, please let me know in the comments section below and I will try to accommodate you.